Hey everybody, Reed Abbott, Great Plains Regional Agronomist, coming to you today from Western Kansas, where I'm standing in a field that we have a common problem with in this area, and that is IDC, which is iron deficiency chlorosis. Iron deficiency chlorosis affects crops like soybeans, grain sorghum, and in this case, corn behind me. And that yellowing you see is from a lack of available iron in the soil. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that iron is completely deficient or totally lacking in the soil, but the pH in the soil is very, very high, which means that it lacks solubilized iron that plant is able to take in and utilize. And so we get this interveinal chlorosis and stunting that you see in this crop behind me, and that's very, very common throughout this part of the world. Iron deficiency chlorosis generally takes place in soils that have very high pHs, so 7.7 all the way up to 8.5, 8.7. You'll get iron deficiency chlorosis. And the reason that is again, not because of lack of iron, but because that plant has no way to solubilize the iron that's in that soil. That's due to a high load of bicarbonates in the soil. And those bicarbonates are actually neutralizing the acids that those plants excrete by their roots to dissolve that iron and make it available and solubilized so that they can absorb them. We also see in wet soils or highly compacted soils, there's a buildup of carbon dioxide. Roots give off carbon dioxide just like we do in the soil. And so if that carbon dioxide has no way of escaping, you get what they call a buildup of bicarbonates in the soil, and that can also neutralize those root excretions and keep that soil from giving off that iron and providing enough of it for that plant. The other thing that we can see that causes IDC is high residual soil nitrate. When you have a lot of soil nitrate, that also comes with a release of bicarbonates in the soil. And again, that neutralizes those root acids and keeps that iron from being solubilized and taken in by the plant. And then lastly, one of the bigger causes of IDC in a lot of these areas that are at risk for that is plant stress. So if you're utilizing a herbicide that may cause a little bit of plant injury, or if you're getting disease pressure or nematode injury, those roots just aren't expanding out into that soil and touching as much soil surface in those situations, and you can cause iron deficiency in areas that would otherwise be healthy. So we talked a lot about the causes of IDC, and now I'd like to tell you about some of the management strategies that we utilize out here to reduce or even eliminate some of these IDC spots out in our field. For the first thing I would say is just to go ahead and get a soil test. Knowing what our soil pH is, maybe what kind of excessive nitrates we're dealing with, salinity problems in that soil, those are all going to be things that cause IDC or maybe are at risk for IDC issues. And if we know where those spots are so that we can start working on management strategies, that's going to be the first step in our process. The next would be variety selection. I always like to tell guys that these seed companies have done a tremendous job in selecting for varieties that are tolerant to some of these IDC issues. Maybe they're a little bit better at extracting that iron out of the soil than other varieties are. But if we can place those varieties in these areas that exhibit those IDC problems, we can reduce or almost eliminate all of those issues just through a variety selection aspect. Another thing that we do is plant in wider rows and in higher populations. What that really does is it helps get that plant to exhibit a lot of early season vigor and competitiveness. If those plants are planted closer together, they're in a race to get the biggest root systems and outcompete their neighbors. And so what that does is it actually provides more surface area for those roots to come into more contact with that iron and utilize what little is available to a greater efficiency and eliminate some of those iron deficiency issues. Another management strategy that we utilize is utilizing chelated iron products. AgroLiquid actually is in the middle of developing an experimental iron product that uses that EDDHA chelate that's specifically designed for high pHs and keeps that iron in an available form despite the fact that the pH range is well outside of the normal. So, you know, even us at AgroLiquid, we're trying to find solutions to some of these problems and bring those solutions out to the marketplace for you guys to utilize in your fields. Hey, I appreciate you watching our Agronomic Advisor Focus series, and we'll see you down the road.